This is TWiT.
I saw Citizenfour last week.
Is that a movie? What is that? That doesn't ring a bell.
You haven't seen it?
I didn't even hear about it. What is it?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's the Snowden movie.
Yes. Really worthwhile. So if listeners are interested in the Edward Snowden story, essentially what this tells, it's in documentary format, and it's that it's that the guys that Snowden was contacting had the foresight to have a camera rolling from the beginning. So this tells the entire story, sort of behind the scenes, that a lot that we've never seen and heard before, and it was really interesting. I thought it was absolutely worthwhile. So I just wanted to say I had assumed that you had seen it because
no spoilers. Does he get caught?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
So we sort of see everything behind the scenes, including the interview. We see them setting up for the interview that we did see.
So this is a documentary. I mean, that's not an actor. That's not Edward Norton playing Edward Snowden. That's Edward Snowden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is you get to see much more of him and some insight into his thinking. I mean, and it is the interviews by Laura and Glenn Greenwald of Edward, where they're like you see them, the dawning of their appreciation for the immensity of what he has done. And you see Glenn's like looking through the documents and his jaw dropping open, and then him asking Edward if this is really what this appears to be, and so forth. So here's my takeaway, though. I as I was coming out of the theater, I realized I had an appreciation that I didn't have before, and that I don't think you have. Okay, so one of the things that I have noticed is, sort of as I become more politically aware, is that an inherent characteristic of democracy, by its definition of majority voting, majority rule, is it's easy for a majority to vote away rights of any minority. So, for example, gay marriage as an example, gay people are a minority. It's easy for a majority that doesn't care to say, yeah, we just assume you couldn't get married. Or a bunch of white guys sitting around deciding that, they don't think a woman's right to choose what she does is important, so we're going to arrange for that to be minimized. Or on the flip side, people who don't care about guns restricting the rights of those who do. So my point is that this is inherent in a democracy, that the interests of a minority should be, they deserve respect, I think, and it's easy to forget that. Well, I'm not a person who has a particular need for privacy. My text messages are basically, little sweet nothings to Jenny and when I'm going to meet up with my friends for various meals. And my email is supremely boring. I really don't care. And I pretty much know you sort of feel the same. But the appreciation that I got somehow from watching this movie was that I need to respect the fact that there are other people not like me, that people can want privacy, have a right to it for its own sake. And that this argument that we hear, oh, well, if you have nothing to hide, then why do you care? If you're not doing anything wrong and you have nothing to hide, why do you care? Well, that's wrong. That's a fundamental mistake. And certainly we know that there are people who have a legitimate need for communications secrecy. We know that there are, I mean, that we can easily relate to people who are working for human rights in oppressive, non-democratic governments, for example, or in corporations where there's an extreme espionage pressure against their secrets. They have an absolutely legitimate right to keep those secrets protected. So anyway, I felt a much stronger sense of understanding that privacy is absolutely. I mean, I feel like I'm more like I understand the EFF's position, which to me sometimes seems over the top. It doesn't so much anymore. So I thought that was. I'm glad I saw it, and I'm glad I have a better sense for that.
It's also, and I think this is a really important thing, is that when you may not have anything to hide, but if a government wants to put together a case against you,
yes,
and they have access to information, it's not hard to fabricate a case against somebody who is an enemy of the state. Remember that for a long time, Martin Luther King was viewed as an enemy of the state, and J. Edgar Hoover collected lots of information about him. And there's a massive dossier. I mean, this is in our recent history. So, you may have nothing to hide, you think, but that doesn't mean that you're invulnerable to this kind of government pursuit. And so that's another big issue.
And I've been in business all my life, and there have been situations where there's been contractual conflicts. When I've been deposed by an attorney who wanted to from my perspective, misconstrue the past. And it's a weird feeling facing somebody with a stenographer who's asking questions with a clear intent to bend the truth. And you find yourself, I mean, I know what happened, and yet I'm on the defense for some reason. Like, how did that happen? That, I'm having to defend no wrongdoing at all. But that's the nature of, that's the nature of the world.
I can see a scenario where, to be honest, the NSA decides that you are a threat to national security because you reveal information about their methodologies and says, we really got to get that Gibson and anybody else, Brian Krebs, and we got to get these guys out of the public eye. Maybe a short stint at Guantanamo would help with that. I mean, we're lucky because I think we still live in a free state and we can express ourselves and we are somewhat protected. But you want to watch that slippery slope.